Good morning, everybody. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. If you will, like, share, comment on the post, and then if you choose, you can join me, in the book of Jude, verses number 22 and 23. Verse 22 and 23 of the little letter of Jude. He says here, "And have mercy on those who doubt, save others by snatching them out of the fire. To others show mercy with fear, hating even the garment stained by the flesh." These are very, very good words for us today. It's very easy for us sometimes to become very attentive, very concerned, and that's not that it's a bad thing, to our relationship with God. And we do need to pay attention to that. We do need to always be working on our relationship with God. Jude reminds us here that in our pursuit for godly doctrine, in our pursuit for godly living, in our pursuit for knowing God, that we don't overlook our relationship with God's people. He tells us here to have mercy on those who doubt, because Jude's been talking about false teachers. You're on top of it. You're really being careful of your doctrine. You're really being careful of what you're taught, what you're teaching, all those things. You're really alert for false teachers. He says, but there's some struggling. That there's some that need compassion. That there's some that are having a hard time. Some literally, he says, need to be snatched out of the fire. They've been caught by some of these false teachers. They've been deceived by some of these false teachers. And he says we snatch them out of the fire, not from being up close to the fire. He's not talking about we get them out of hell, but he's talking about how we get them out of a bad situation. We get them out of that dangerous place they're putting themselves. We show mercy to them, hating the garment stained by flesh, just as a leper. Their clothing, you didn't have to touch the leper. You could pick up his jacket, and you could end up getting leprosy. He's saying we want to snatch them from the fire, but we want to be cautious that we don't allow their lifestyle to affect us. We don't want to get caught up in what they're doing. And so this is again, a very, very powerful, I think, verse that we have here, that we have mercy on those that doubt. We're careful. We realize that there's some folks who are struggling in their walk with the Lord, that there's some people who they're either young converts, they're new in the faith, or for whatever reason they haven't been growing, they haven't been taught. Sometimes it's through no fault of their own. The church is very guilty of seeing people come to know Christ and then failing in discipling and training them up and helping them. It's the spiritual equivalent of giving birth to a baby and then never feeding them, or always feeding them with a bottle. And we're guilty of that. And so for whatever reason, he says there's some that are struggling. And he says, let's have mercy on them. Let's not go so caught up in our own walk with God that we forget that there's someone else struggling along. Can you imagine seeing, and I worked in the mall when I was much younger, and I've seen this happen. Some people wonder sometimes how do kids get lost how parents and kids get separated. Well, I've stood, and the store I worked in was right in the center court of the mall, so we saw all the traffic, and you'd see maybe two ladies, two men, married couple, whatever, walking along, talking back and forth, having a conversation, and really forget that their child was with them. And, the child's over here looking in an ice cream store, and mom and daddy going up the hall. Don't even realize that It happened. It happened to Mary and Joseph with Jesus. They started back home and realized Jesus was still in the temple. It's easy to get so caught up in what we're doing that we overlook the fact that there's someone else struggling in their faith. And he says, let's have mercy on them. Let's snatch them out of the fire. Be careful, don't get caught up in what they're doing, but let's help them. Let's have mercy on them. Don't be so caught up in your own walk that you forget that somebody else is walking behind you that may trip and fall. Keep that in mind. You have a good one. We'll see you here tomorrow morning.